Hey everyone, before I started the tier list, I wanted to say a few things. This list is my own personal opinion based on my current experiences with the game. It is based on characters as an individual and does not really take into account the synergy the units may have with each other or any of the team comps. Some units in the game are just flat out stronger than others, but I think that most units have uses in certain situations that can make them stronger than they would by themselves. I made a spreadsheet with more detailed information on the characters, their uses, and their abilities and stats, and it will be in the description below. That's enough of my rant, so let's get into the video. Okay everyone, first off we have the S tier. These units are very strong DPSs that can clear waves of enemies easily, or they can either just flat out kill or heavily chunk bosses with little difficulty, or they provide great healing and utility to the team. White Rabbit and Cinderella give energy back to the team, and Safi lowers the team's active cooldown by a large amount. These are two of the three units I want to talk about. Oh, no, not two of the three, I said all three. I want to single out these units specifically because I believe units that supply energy and cooldown reduction will end up being the strongest units in the game, because they will allow your team to spam their active abilities much easier, and that would just raise their overall DPS. Next, we have the A tier, if I can click. These units are strong in their own right, but they just get a little outclassed by some of the S tier units. They can't do a lot of the things the S tiers can. That doesn't make them weak or anything, they still are strong in their own right, and paired with the S tier units they can become even stronger, but on their own they're not as good. A good example of this is March Hare and Cinderella. Their kits are very similar, but March Hare is a little linear because she can't hit everything on the screen, while Cinderella basically can. Her active ability lets her shoot out 12 spears that will hit random targets, but they always hit a different target, and hasn't been more than 12 enemies on the screen at once. So for now, she can really just hit every unit while March Hare can't. But yeah, A tiers, still great units, provide a lot of DPS and a lot of utility. They are great, very strong, but the S tiers just outclass them a little bit. Some of them could be S tiers if they had a little push or a buff, but for now they're not. Next, we have the B tier. These units aren't really strong, but they're not weak either. They have maybe one or two good things in their kit, but nothing more. There's a few things holding them back. A good example of this would be Odile and Mad Hatter. Their active abilities are great, just amazing for team comps. They silence, they stun, I believe one knocks up, and Odile heals as well. Just very strong active abilities, but their passives and their stats do not support that. That's the difference between the B tiers and the A's and S tiers. Their stats and their skills are very strong. B tiers have one or the other. They either have great stats or they have great skills, but they don't have both. Next is these, well, I just got rid of the whole thing, so here's the C and D tier. C tier units, these guys again either have really bad stats but good skills, or good skills but bad stats. Some can be very functional in team comps with the right synergy, like Little Match Girl. She applies the burn effect extremely easily, so she would be great for fire teams. But on her own, she is not very strong. Her stats are low and her scaling isn't the best. The best example of this though is Belle. Belle with the Beast will make almost any team unkillable because of their trait synergy. These two together should be in a lot of team comps because they're just very strong. They're probably the strongest duo in the game. Then finally we have the D tier units. These guys get outclassed by they get outclassed by all of the units up here. Especially this one. Do not use the Huntsman. He has the lowest defense in the game. He doesn't even get above 100 defense. After like the second world, he gets killed very easily. He can get killed in like 2-3 hits. He has 68 defense. I don't know if that's a typo or if it's really like that, but if it is, then he brings nothing to the table. He doesn't even have any buffs. Everything he does is for himself, and his attack isn't high enough for him to be viable at anything. And Odette, I put her here because while her kit seems good, her stats are just so low that there isn't really any strength with her. I've used her, but she's not strong at all. She really does go here because all of these units up here do much more than her. But yeah, that's how I feel about the character so far. Again, this is my own opinion based on the things that I said earlier. I do see a lot of wiggle room with this tier list. There's a lot of things that I think could be changed and moved around at any moment. A lot of units that could go in other places if they wanted to, but based solely on the unit alone and not anyone else, I think this is the most reasonable spots for them. If you like the tier list or have any questions, leave a comment below. If you have a different opinion, I would love to hear about it because I am new to the game just like you, haven't had it for that long. And there will be a document with all this information as stated before in the description. It'll have this, and it'll have stuff about the weapons, and it'll just be a lot more detailed and have a lot more of how I think. Thanks for tuning in, and see you next time.